Welcome to another exciting episode of the Textual Talk. In this episode, your hosts HD and Cyber Shorty are joined by special guests Bearded Ruckus and Damian Burks, and Before the Billions to dive into some compelling discussions that span from government policies to cutting-edge tech. We kick things off with a hot-button topic: President Trump offering 8-month buyouts to federal workers. The crew explores the potential implications, including DEI initiatives and how federal workers might be impacted by the administration's new mandates. With some federal workers potentially forced back into the office, the conversation delves into the broader implications for both government and private sectors. Next, we pivot on the explosive arena of AI, contrasting the capabilities and security measures of ChatGPT and Deepseek. We analyze Deepseek's shortcomings from a cybersecurity perspective, highlighted by a recent report showing it failed every safety test thrown at it, and discuss the growing concerns around utilizing AI models that might not be as secure as promised. As a lighter segment, the panel also enjoys a nostalgic trip down memory lane, discussing favorite old school games and tech from back in the day, from MySpace to Oregon Trail and everything in between. Finally, we wrap up with some thought-provoking insights on professionalism within the Black community, touching on attire behavior and how cultural norms shape workplace dynamics. Whether you're here for tech talk, career advice, or just some good company, this episode of the Textual Talk promises an engaging mix of serious discussion and lighthearted nostalgia. Stay tuned and let's get started. Yo, what up, everybody? What up? I know the people still up late. I know y'all rocking with us, man. Yo, what up, Will? What up? If you want the link, let me know. I'll put it in the chat in a bit. Let me go solo, guys. I'm gonna try this first. We're gonna see if the brand like this. Let's try this out real quick. All right, guys. So before we get into today's live stream, I want to say that this video will be sponsored by. So it's 2025 and cybersecurity is still all the rage. Breaches are at an all-time high, and so are cyber salaries. But there's a problem you keep running into. The cyber jobs you want to land are requiring a degree, and you don't have one. Well, guess what? Let me introduce you to today's sponsor, Southern New Hampshire University, SNHU. SNHU has a flexible online program that also touts one of the lowest tuitions in the country. SNHU is an affordable, accredited nonprofit university that has dedicated career advisors, webinars, internships, and more to prepare you to enter or advance in the workforce. There's a 32% projected growth of information security analyst roles through 2032, and according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the median security analyst salary in 2023 was $120,000. In SNHU's program, you can learn about these critical subjects needed to have a successful cyber career: cybersecurity foundations, networking, incident response, risk management, enterprise security, and more. As a cybersecurity professional, these are all important courses. If you would like to know more about SNHU's program, then please visit snhu.edu/textual or click the link below in the description. Let me put that banner up for y'all real quick so y'all can see it. Let me bring my girl Cyber Shorty back to the forefront. All right, guys, man, how y'all been doing, man? It's been a minute since we went live. The beginning of the year has been kind of like, ain't been too hectic, but I say it's been different. What about you?
It's been very busy for me, nonstop. Hit the ground running since January 6th.
Yo, so we're gonna play with the chat real quick. Something I get like Dale said, stress. What shows y'all been watching? There's a lot of new shows that's out recently. I've been watching. Well, we watched the first couple of episodes of is it called? It's not called Promise. What's it called? Freaking the show on Hulu with Sterling Brown.
It's not This Is Us.
Nah, he's in this new show where he was like pretty much like a guard to the president, and you found out the twist from the show is that, I don't want to give it away too much, man, but pretty much they're trying to see did he actually kill the president.
No, I haven't seen that.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I think it is called Promise.
I'm trying to think of what am I watching. I just finished watching Young, Famous, and African, and it was completely outrageous. It was outrageous.
What's that about?
It's giving Love and Hip Hop Atlanta meets Real Housewives of Atlanta, but in Africa. So it was interesting. It's featuring like some African artists and social media influencers and folks who are a big deal over there. Very messy, very, very messy, but very entertaining.
What else I've been watching? Harlem is back.
My friend just told me that today. Season 2 or 3?
This is season 3. This is the last season.
Yeah.
Paradise. There you go. It's called Paradise. I don't know why I want to call it Promise. Appreciate that, TM. Yeah, the show was called that, and that's pretty good. What else did I finish watching? Started Silo. I don't know if I finished that. I do think it's good, but it's a little too slow for me. I don't know. It's a lot of good stuff going on. But I know y'all didn't come here to hear us talk about that. We had like a couple of cool like combos to talk about before we get into like everything. Super Bowl. Now, last time I think we was on live, I believe we were talking about the Commanders and Lions playing. I think I could be wrong. I believe it was the Commanders and Lions. So it was the divisional round, I want to say. I think the divisional round. And then, of course, now we had that the Eagles beat the Commanders. And, of course, the Pats beat the Bills. So now we got a repeat of the Super Bowl from, I think, 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I'm a betting man, you just got to say the Chiefs because you just know they better have the Chiefs like to be like that first three-peat. The Discord actually should know that I'm live. Yeah, I'm gonna have to tell them that. But let me see the three-peat. So I'm gonna go with the Chiefs to win, but my heart wants the Eagles to win. I really do.
I'm indifferent. May the best team win.
I feel that. So guys, if you have not been on the rock, we'll wait on questions later. So check this out, guys. We got like topics to discuss, so we'll talk about the topics. But if you really want your question answered, you got a super chat. If not, then your question has to wait towards the end. So super chats get answered first, and everything else is in between based on the flow of the conversation. But if you guys have been living on the rock, you've been seeing Trump, of course, is president now, and he has been doing the absolute most since he's been in office, where there's going from getting rid of some of the DEI initiatives to trying to force federal workers back into the office, to you name it. And so I thought it'd be very fitting to talk about that because, in this tech space and everything else, people do talk a lot about like government work. But see, people always, when they talk about GovTech, they're thinking they're only solely talking about working for the government. You could be in GovTech if you're a government contractor as well, where the rules that are applying to the federal workers don't necessarily apply to them. So it's just been crazy. And we also want to talk about DEI in the sense that for my people, they have been up in arms about what companies saying they want to do with DEI, but they're taking it like so personal. Like they don't hear we're gonna change the route we're going with DEI. They just hear, hey, we're gonna change the route we're dealing with black people. That's what they hear. You got people talking about they're gonna boycott Target, Amazon, Walmart. I'm like, let's be realistic here. Because I'm like, truth be told, I don't think DEI was doing that good of a job for us anyway. And I think I've seen different videos where it's saying like we were on the end of the list of the receiving end of DEI, and people not really realizing like DEI encompasses like all other different individuals, and also being um, a father of a child that has a disability. Well, I don't really look at it as a disability, but if you were to apply on a job and say, hey, do you have like, ADHD, autism, or whatever, they will consider that a disability. I really don't. So that's also will fall in the guise of that. So it's not just a color thing. It's other things. Veterans are covered under DEI.
Pregnant people, disabled folks, gay
LGBTQ.
folks, yeah.
So
Different races.
So
It's bigger than just race for sure. And I think that that's what we have to understand. It's a lot of different protections. It's about you having anxiety too, depression, mental health illnesses.
Yeah, man. Did you want to get started with the articles tonight? Or you want me to?
I think you should kick us off.
Let me see. I think I got too many tabs open. Let me close on these tabs. Let's see. I think I want to talk. The first one is the Trump and the federal workers. Let me see if I already got that one open. Yeah. Well, somebody explained it, so I'm not gonna go through this whole article, but we do want to just kind of touch on what Trump actually is trying to do with that, because I have seen mixed opinions about it. When people come to the government, because we know a lot of them old government workers, they're not doing the work. Let's keep it a bean. A lot of them not doing the work. So, having said all that, if they're not doing any work, why are they still there? Are they in some type of ways preventing people that would be qualified who are ready to be in the workforce to do it? Because I think that's what happens everywhere. You got that with the boomers, a lot of them people that's in Congress, they need to retire. Like it's a lot of people that don't need to be working no more.
I don't disagree with you.
All right, let me share this and I'm gonna zoom in so y'all can see. Trump's executive orders rolling back DEI and accessibility efforts explain. The Trump administration three executive orders targeting diversity, equity, and inclusion and accessibility initiatives take a shock and awe approach that upends longstanding bipartisan federal policy meant to open doors that have been unfairly closed. I'm gonna zoom in some more so my people can see. There we go. In his first few days, President Donald Trump is undertaking a deliberate effort to obfuscate and weaponize civil rights laws that address discrimination and ensure everyone has a fair chance to compete, whether it's for a job, a promotion, or education. With these actions, the administration is not only undoing decades of federal anti discrimination policy, spanning Democratic and Republican presidential administrations alike, but also marshaling federal enforcement agencies to bully both private and government entities and to abandon legal efforts to promote equity and remedy systemic discrimination. Trump's executive orders undermine obligations dating back to the Johnson administration that firms doing business with the U.S. government and receiving billions of public dollars are held to the highest standards in remedying and preventing bias. So they kind of just summed it up, which is good. And I didn't know this is the ACLU's thing before until I clicked on the article. But I think articles like this are beneficial because most people just even getting their news from TikTok or they're seeing it on social media. They're not actually even going into articles and reading what everything says. Because a prime example is when they were talking about cutting some of the federal grants that were kind of going to certain entities or like businesses or what they needed it for. Immediately people ran with, hey, well, he's cutting, personal stuff that people already get, Social Security, food stamps, student loans, things like that. And then it came out, hey, we're not touching those individual things. These is more so we're trying to account where this money is going to when it goes to these companies for these grants and things that they say they're using this money for. So a lot of people did not do any reading on that. But this says, how do these orders dismantle decades of federal anti-discrimination policy? So I'm not going to read all this. But Trump executive orders represent a major departure from these policies, particularly in the federal contracting space. One order rescinds Executive Order 11246, a cornerstone of equal opportunity policy for federal contractors that has been in place since 1965 under the Johnson administration without offering any replacement framework. This abrupt shift abandons a measure that has helped dismantle entrenched race and sex segregation in high paying industries historically close to women and Black and brown workers. It also leaves contractors scrambling to navigate a complex regulatory environment, including federal anti discrimination laws like Title VII and other laws mandating federal contractors take affirmative action with respect to veterans and disabled workers, all of which remain in place. Let's see. More broadly, the orders seek to intimidate all employers, ranging from private organizations and federal contractors and grantees to state and local entities, into abandoning DEIA initiatives using vague and threatening language to create fear of enforcement actions. The strategy is clear: bully everyone into dropping programs that ensure equitable workspaces while falsely equating diversity efforts with discrimination. Yet, employment, for example, properly designed DEIA programs are not only legal under federal and state civil rights laws and longstanding legal precedents, they are also necessary to ensure compliance with those laws. Compliance with those laws. Programs labeled as DIA encompass a broad range of lawful initiatives that create fair workplaces and ensure opportunities are limited based on race, ethnicity, disability, sex, sexual orientation, or gender identity. Many of these initiatives are not focused on selecting specific candidates for hire. They aim to create fair processes. For instance, recruiting at underrepresented institutions or ensuring fairness in promotion criteria helps address systemic inequities without disadvantaging any individual. So, yeah, we kind of got the gist of it. there was another article that I found. I kind of broke down DEI, and I'm gonna go to it real quick because I was reading it to kind of brush up on my stuff. I kind of like to be somewhat responsible for what I say. So this is a CNN article, and it says, "What is DEI?" And among 7 DEI experts and industry leaders CNN has interviewed, most have shared a vision for what constitutes the concept. Diversity is embracing the difference everyone brings to the table, whether those are someone's race, age, ethnicity, region, religion, gender, sexual orientation, physical ability, or other aspects of social identity. Equity is treating everyone fairly and providing equal opportunities. Inclusion is respecting everyone's voice and creating a culture in which people from all backgrounds feel encouraged to express their ideas and perspectives. DEI was created because marginalized communities have not always had equal opportunities for jobs or felt a sense of belonging in majority white corporate settings, said Daniel Opong, founder of the Courage Collective, a consultancy that advises companies on DEI. That is the genesis on why some of these programs exist, he said. It was an attempt to try to create workplaces where more or all people can thrive. So, and then you go to this, and I do kind of agree with this, that it seems like more companies tried to get on the wave in 2020 or after 2020 after the George Floyd stuff. And so I think a lot of companies said they were doing DEI, but they really weren't, if you want to be honest. I don't see any difference in all the numbers. And granted, I've had some, I posed that question on threads and I had somebody said, hey, they help hire people through DEI, like going to some colleges that they normally wouldn't go to and hire like a lot of good workers. But for the most part, I think companies could just say that they had positions for people doing DEI, but for the most part, they weren't really interested in really enforcing DEI.
I think it's interesting to figure out how is it being measured to determine if it is truly successful. Because I don't honestly know if it is effective, who's benefiting from it. Obviously, I get what the point of it is, but I think for me, just really thinking about how do we measure this? How do we actually understand and know who's benefiting? How do we know it's not helping? Are we saying it's not helping because we're not able to illustrate the impact of it? Did we identify what impact looks like outside of, just assuming? So for me, I think it's a very, very, very layered conversation. And I'm obviously not an expert in that arena. That's not my wheelhouse. But I do think that it's definitely more than just race, which it seems like that's where it's mostly focused in on right now is race and education level. And it's bigger than that.
No, for sure. And I had a thought while I was reading that, and I forgot what I was going to say regarding the DEI stuff. But I know one of the things we're talking about affirmative action, and we definitely know that we didn't benefit the most from affirmative action either. White people, white women benefited from that a lot. So I think it'd be interesting. I just think people, I guess they're trying to feel like, since like a lot of people are uneducated about it, like they're not understanding, like, hey, it don't mean hire me just because I'm black. It means, hey, I just want the opportunity to even interview.
Mhm.
Um, like opposed to something like in the NFL, they got the Rooney Rule where they're supposed to interview black candidates or whatever. Granted, now I think we do have a little bit more black coaches than we used to, but the Rooney Rule seems outdated too because it used to seem like at one point in time they just were interviewing black people, said they interviewed them, and they didn't have any, um, like they didn't have any cause that they were actually going to hire them. And I know my job seekers who are in the chat, they probably felt like that too when it came to getting jobs. They probably feel like, man, these people don't really want to hire me. They just talking to me, just cause they said they were.
Yeah. And I feel like there is so much space in between what each individual organization's DE and I goals or objectives, mission, values as to what it means to them and what they are actually focused in on versus it being more of a framework that you can follow to be more diclusive to be more diverse and inclusive in your organization. So I just feel like maybe we didn't need to cancel it. Maybe we need to figure out some more stuff to make it better.
Bet. And I'm actually like, let this video play real quick. Wow. We do this, share the screen, and we actually want a window. So let's go right here. And I want to make this bigger.
DEI is not there to just change the color scheme and the palette. It's to look at a broader, and by the way, it includes hiring veterans, people of different socioeconomic status. Like, it's not just race or gender. Like, diversity brings a resilience to your organizations that it might not have otherwise.
And I don't think, John, that that's the way it's been implemented across the board in government. And I think people see examples of that, and it makes them paint the entire effort with the same brush.
But without that, when has merit ever been implemented in that way? Legacy admissions to colleges, legacy admissions to the big firms. Like, why do we assume that the so-called meritocracy, the way that things were done in the past when America was great, was an objectively meritocratic system? It wasn't. It's rigged. It's always been rigged. It's more rigged by that than any measure of bringing on somebody whose experience for the position may be slightly more unorthodox.
And my argument to you is, I don't think it makes it any better to just rig it in a different direction. And I think that's what people perceive was going on with DEI.
It's not rigging it in a different direction. It's unrigging it. That's my point. But
that's where we disagree.
So as you can see, they was actually disagreeing on that, but my guy was really on point about it. Let me take this banner down. And we also got a super chat. Remember, guys, if you want something for us to stop and act in the live stream, leave us a super chat. So what the says he had, I'm sorry, I don't know what you are. I'm going to say, I have the Security Plus, and I'm currently working as an IT field engineer, looking to get more hard skills to get into the field. How can I get them? I just had this conversation earlier in the call. I actually did 2 calls today. Honestly, the biggest thing you need to do, number one, is figure out exactly what you want to do. So what type of hard skills you want to do. Like, for example, I work in incident response, so that's part of the blue team. So you would start off by looking up incident response roles, looking up like so many different job descriptions, then seeing the different skills that you don't have and say, okay, how can I find these skills? So you can go into Google and saying, hey, how to get log analysis skills or whatever, or how to learn how to write scripts for security engineering, whatever, right? Whatever your question may be. And then it's going to guide you to some resources. And so that's where you start practicing some of those skills. And then now you have to figure out how to put the skills together in a marketable way to get a company to give you a chance of saying, okay, I might not have been doing this in my current job, but I've did all these different projects that would align with something I may do in my day-to-day here. And now that's the hard part for a lot of people who don't on the outside looking in. And that's when you go seek like counsel to like either like come to me for a consult or anybody else. And all guys always be me. And then that's when we talk about like some of the stuff I just said, and then we can go in a little bit more detail on how I can help with that or give you some scenarios that you haven't seen before that you can probably work on and make projects about. So I hope that answered your question.
But I started laughing at.
Well, that's laughing. Yeah, he didn't want to join.
You acting brand new today, Clay?
Yeah, acting brand new since he in Colorado. Let's see, remove DEI, and they have an opportunity to set up the presidency for legacy meritocracy, i.e. Dunn Jr. or whomever. When they talk about CRT, woke, and DEI, they are too scared to say black. This is all code for targeting black people. I agree, but I don't agree because the thing was the stuff wasn't really benefiting us on a wide scale anyway. So I agree with that notion of that it's attacking black people, but at the same time, it's not. It was a TikTok, and I got to go through when Destini ever reads her article, I'm gonna go through and like it, and we'll listen to it because a guy pretty much laid out the groundwork of how they play white people. It's like, hey, tell white people DEI associated to black people. White people vote against their own interests. Tell them that such and such is geared towards black people. White people will vote against their own interests. So it pretty much was saying, hey, if we say all the stuff is aligned with black people, white people will vote against their own interests, not realizing they're closer than us than it seems, and they'll end up playing themselves. But I definitely agree with you for that. Or let me say with that. Text missing. When you say, oh, okay, this is a good question. Text missing mascot. Where's our Flo or Jake? That's a good question. I think all these vendors got so many different mascots of their own, to where I guess we will never have one centralized like mascot for tech. But that
Yeah,
actually is pretty interesting. The tech mascot.
it would actually be really dope to see. Like every time it comes, or maybe like from a security perspective, let's say I might have been picking a company, but let's name any security company, and they maybe have commercials to teach you how to stop doing common things that people fall for. So how to spot a phishing exam, how to spot a phishing email or a spam text message, or what to do if you get a phishing call, or how to report this to your carrier. I think it'd be dope for us to see a whoever for whatever organization, just like we see a Jake for State Farm or Flo for Progressive or the Sprint guy, can you hear me now? But someone more on the security side, or even just anything tech related in the organization. So you know when you see that person that they're going to talk about insurance or whatever the case may be, that they're being associated with as it pertains to that organization. So I think that's super dope. I'm looking forward, hope to see that more in the future. I think it'd be a dope experience to kind of put tech influencers on the map and really take them to the next level of actually representing a brand.
Dope. Everybody welcome before the billions to the panel.
Hey, hey.
Hey,
Yo,
what's up,
Ken, if
guys?
you're not doing nothing, if you want to join, let me know.
How
He's
y'all
talking about
doing
if I was
tonight?
sometime on the show. My bad, my bad.
Good. How are you?
Doing good. Pleasure to be up here.
Yeah, man. I just was in Wheel City briefly. Briefly, I was in Wheel City.
Man,
But I was in we stayed in the Airbnb on in East Atlanta.
okay.
Yeah, so it was like 10 minutes kind of like from everything. But I was in and out though. I had a function to do that Sunday. So I got in Saturday and the only thing we really did was ate, and then I tried to shoot some content and we had to kind of just trash the whole project. It just didn't come out right. All the stuff Destiny knows, like sound technical difficulties be getting us in the studio was setting up was like tenfold, like just setting up myself and everything. So it was like, we both agree just it's better not to put it out. It don't match the quality of stuff I currently put out, and so we'll just record at a later date. So my creators, it's okay to not put something out if you don't think it sound good, because I've seen some big creators put out some stuff that shouldn't been put out. I'm like, yeah, I could have re-recorded this or something.
Yeah, I completely understand.
Did you want to give any like opinions when it came to like the DEI subject?
I went to a DEI, it was like an event at Comcast around like a few weeks ago with Namic Atlanta. So all the like telecommunications and entertainment, like their BRGs coming together, or business resource groups coming together, and they were talking about DEI, and they said something that was interesting, talking about how DEI could be considered a business, like a business paradigm, very similar to marketing or sales. Like if you get rid of DEI, it's essentially the same thing as getting rid of something like marketing, right? You need it in order to be able to hit certain metrics for a specific audience. And just like how you guys were saying earlier, is that it's more than just a hiring or HR. It's more than just race. It's a whole bunch of different things: disabilities, veterans, people of different socioeconomic statuses. So I think that if they're changing things up, make sure that we understand, like, hey, this is what we're going to be replacing it with. Or if you're just completely getting rid of it, I don't think that's going to be a good thing in the long run for a lot of companies.
Yeah, I think it's important for us to do our research
Yeah.
and to actually read and not just go with what we're seeing online or what's being shared, to really actually be able to have a conversation and understand it on a more intellectual level versus just giving blind opinions and you don't really know what the definition of DE&I is itself, for example.
Yeah.
So if you don't know what the definition is, then how can you have a conversation with someone who actually knows?
Yeah.
No, I agree. Did you want to tackle? I think because technically we can still stay on all this Trump stuff and wrap it up into like one segment because like that's just one part of it. We didn't even get into the federal workers. So you want to dive into that?
Into which one?
You know, the pretty much the 8-month buyout that he told them, hey, y'all can sign the severance.
Oh yeah. Honestly, I'm not qualified to give my opinion on that because I honestly have no idea what I would do. I've tried and I've been thinking about putting myself in that position on what I would do if potentially the fate of my employment opportunity was put at risk or at jeopardy. And this is a good situation or a good example of just making sure that you aren't getting too comfortable at your company, and making sure that you have your ducks in an order. You got your resume together, making sure you're making those connections, that your brand is known out here, because this is a very unfortunate situation. I've been seeing some stuff saying that if folks do take the severance or if folks stay and if folks stay, basically, they might not still get the severance. So, like, it's a lose lose potentially situation for the folks that this is affecting, because if they take the severance, now you don't have a job. If you stay, you probably won't get a severance. So, it's just very unfortunate. I have no idea what I would do if I was in a situation. I would be calling on my coaches and my mentors to give me some insight on how they would approach the situation before I came to whatever my decision would be.
Yeah, I agree. That's a catch-22. Like, so for the people just coming in, Trump pretty much tried to sign or not sign, did sign an executive order. I want to say how many what it's I guess it was even 2 million federal workers like, hey, y'all need to come back into the office because a lot of people been teleworking. I think it's through something that Biden signed, and I should have researched that. So anybody could put in the chat exactly what Biden had to do that, but I know it came out during Biden's presidency that federal workers could work remote. And the reason why I think some private sector people might be like kind of pointing the finger too, because so much that people in the government sector were like either talking about people in the private sector or laughing at them with their RTOs and all this kind of stuff. But now it's like the rabbit got the gun with you guys, which isn't like um, who did wrong or whatever, but it's reminding people that hey, once people were able to telework, a lot of people moved to more affordable places, so they wouldn't be so stressed out about stuff. And that is not what a lot of people realize. And I'm trying to see if I want to segue into that or this. Let me actually, I'm going to stop sharing because this is actually a good question because I actually had it down. I forgot to ask it. So Biden pushed the remote worker protections like 3 days before Trump's inauguration. That's why Trump is mad. Okay.
I like the picture.
Our agency sent out a memo clarifying an executive order. All right. Appreciate that. So something I want to touch on before I get into this Trump thing, because I think it ties into it. There was a discussion on Twitter that said, would you rather work remotely for, I want to say 125K, or would you want to go into the office for 165K? And I forgot about this, but I was
It was
watching,
in shambles.
right? I was watching Nightcap and I was listening to Shannon and Ocho talk about it. I was like, first of all, both of y'all like are rich. So y'all have never had to work at a cubicle. Granted, Shannon's thing has to be waking up early back to do Undisputed or First Take, but it's still not the same. Like you can prep the way you want to, and as long as you perform, it don't matter. You're not having to constantly like sit there like you have to do at a cubicle. And they pay you most of the time what you negotiate. I'm not gonna say your worth, but what you negotiate. However, they equated people not wanting to go into the office as being lazy. And I put in the comments, I said, hey, this is why you don't let rich people discuss 9 to 5 problems. Because I was like, this is much more nuanced. You got to think about it. Is this person single? Do they have kids? Do they even live by the office to even go into the office anymore? That's like the big one. Like they don't even understand. Like, hey, a lot of these companies don't pay people enough to even stay close to the office. So that's why they don't want to commute in the first place. But if you paid them more, they wouldn't mind coming in. Well, some people wouldn't mind. Like I wouldn't mind. 40K is life changing, but so is working remote.
8 down and did that comment 8 down because it is.
Right.
It is life changing, but working remote might work for some other folks.
Because the key thing is, it's not 40K net. It's just
That
40K
part.
added on. So now you factor in maybe or 2 hours of commute every day. So we're gonna say if you have to return to office, we're gonna say 5 days a week. Because anything to return to office make 5 days a week. So that's 10 hours. So depending on what that is on gas, and commute could be longer, lack of time with your kids. So all the stuff and more taxes being taken out of your check. So it don't really turn out to be exactly 40K more.
I think about a lot of I think about the families. That's what comes to mind for me. Like you might have a spouse that works in office, and so if now you're required to go in office, and let's say daycare hasn't been a concern, and maybe you're away from family, and now you have to consider, okay, who's going to watch our kids now because now we both have to go into office, and does that 40K really help you and your family? If that's kind of the rhythm and flow that works well for you, you're able to, manage your home environment better, just better be able to support your family and your kids. So I just think about the folks with kids, not saying it doesn't impact those who don't have kids, but that's what I think about, the flexibility that it gives families to actually be families and spend more time together versus you only seeing your kids at night because you're gone all day, right? No hugs, no kisses, no love, no none of that during the day where you kind of get to make some of those smaller impressions, or just being able to make your child lunch and to know what they ate and to see them grow up. I think a lot of the times we don't consider that.
No, for sure. I mean, like Marquis said, imagine having to go into office just to have meetings with someone next to you.
Or a meeting with somebody in another country.
Facts.
That part.
This is a big one too. Like that's what I'm saying. Like it was so nuanced, office politics and microaggressions. Like you don't honestly, I wonder if I could do a poll. I probably could do it if I went into the YouTube chat. I could do an actual poll and be like, how many people get more work done at home than they do in office? In office, somebody come by you, they talking about you or talking about, hey, what you did last night, or where you go this weekend, and everybody's talking about you don't even get any work done. You have
If
to work.
no one's if I go into office and people are
Go ahead.
there, it's very distracting. But let's say I go in off a chance and obviously it's not a planned event, no one's there. So I can actually focus. But I focus best at home. I have my setup, I'm comfortable with it. I know, what I need to do. And everybody's different.
Yeah.
And the work
Actually,
culture be trash too. They want you to come in and y'all don't even talk to each other.
it's pretty interesting. I have like a really interesting take on this because the fact that you can work you can work from home with your actual team, but then if you're somebody who works in the office and your team is in another country in the office, what is the point of you going in? You're mostly just like networking with people. And I wanted to ask this question of which one is actually more important, you doing the work or you trying to work on highly visible tasks so that way you could potentially be promoted into a more leadership role or a people management role. What do you guys think?
Um I think it's important for you to do the work for sure. That's what they hired you to do, is to do the work. The politics and all of that, I feel like that's just added effect and benefit, potentially could help you get into someone's quote unquote saving grace to get you a better opportunity. But with all the politics that's going on, 9 times out of 10, they already know who they want for that opportunity.
Okay. HD, do you have a opinion
Agreed.
on it?
Well, I gave my opinion on it a little bit last time. Like, for example, my last time working, well, I lied. I worked in office back in 2022. But before that, prior to that, when I didn't have kids or anything, when I stayed in Frisco, I was like 5 minutes from the office. And so I mean, back then remote wasn't that much of a thing, but our environment was different. My environment was mostly, hey, looking at my consoles and tools all day. I had my couple of meetings I had with like our client and stuff, but for the most part, it was laid back. Like nobody came in there about this. Like everybody was everybody. I think that's what it is too. Like when we're in silo, like most of the tech people, they are cool. Like even the managers, they had their offices. Nobody really was bothering us. The sales guys be in the break room playing ping pong or something like that. But other than that, it was cool. I don't mind environments like that. But when you don't have your own space to think, when they got the freaking open concept cubicles where they know it's the divider and they like you can look at somebody's eyes when you look up, all that type of stuff. You're like, I need some personal space, bro. Um,
And some people
so
weird. But HD, the reason I asked that question, it's kind of like a. Do you hear an echo?
I do.
was it when I was talking or he was talking?
When he was talking.
Oh, okay, I didn't hear it.
Hello. Is
Yeah.
You're good
echo
now.
Okay.
No.
You good.
Yeah. The reason I asked that question, listen to me. The reason I asked the question is because, quick story. So my previous director told me that hey, doing your work is just considered the bare minimum. It is the reason why we hired you on. But if you do nothing outside of just doing your work, then you'll just stay where you are, right? And then when layoffs come up, like how it did for me, when layoffs come up, your name will most likely be on the list, man. And you can say, "Oh, but I did all this work." Well, the higher ups and the people who are in the office and stuff like that don't know who you are. And actually, what was interesting is not my director, but my senior VP on my previous company. I was cool with him, but he was like, "Hey, man, you don't come into the office that much because I was working fully remote. If you came into the office more, man, you would know like we were having construction when I came in for like an event. You would know when construction would come up or something like that. You need to come into the office more often." Probably 2 weeks later, they announced layoffs, and I was on the list. So what I'm saying is that when you do your work, it's cool. But like let's say like highly visible things come up. Your manager says, "Oh, something breaks." Start trying to take initiative and say, "Hey, I can work. Let me look into this. Let me work on this and try and maybe improve something or enhance something." You could potentially make yourself a better name than just being somebody who just takes tasks and accomplishes them. So that could be a way to be able to help you out with, let's say if you start off as a entry level software or data engineer, how do you get to data engineer 2 or software engineer 2? Right? It's not just by just taking whatever task you do. You have to do something that's a little bit more than just doing work. So, that's where I was more so coming from. And that's like, my story is where you just do your work, stuff like that happens.
No, I agree. I think that sometimes you're gonna be on the chopping block regardless of what you do. So it really depends. Marquise asked a great question earlier about could you be promoted by working remote? I say yes. When I went remote, I think I was like almost about to freaking run the team, but I ended up going to a different company for more conversation. But as long as you are being visible, that's the key thing with being remote. A lot of people still not being visible or joining the little call things that they have from time to time. But for the most part, like you said, being visible and people knowing who you are is a big part of getting promoted.
Yeah, and not even necessarily promotion per se. You could want to still be an individual contributor, but you might want to make some more money or get more opportunities, right? Because there's other things they can offer you too outside of just getting a promotion. You could get like my company is writing an article about me, like those kinds of things you'll see, like that's outside of just like promotion or more money, things that could be impactful for you if you're trying to do something maybe even outside of your company. That helps you if you have like a business or something like that too.
I do still think that it helps with I do love remote work, but I do also believe that you do have some benefits of working in person together if the culture is there for you all to be able to collaborate. One, just first of all, before you can even start collaborating, you want to fill people out versus just seeing someone's team picture. You might not find much value or much of a connection from someone virtually because you both are guarded or, more closed off and just kind of focused on your own thing. But if you were able to get together, understand more about each other's background and some of your experiences, maybe some of your skill sets. Are you stronger at this? Are you weaker at this? Is there any way we can help each other out? There's still value from that, but it just depends on the culture that you're in.
Nah, for sure. But let me get to this article really quick. That way we can jump on everything else, just so people can see the money aspect of like all these workers. President Donald Trump's administration is offering federal workers the chance to take a deferred resignation, which would mean they agreed now to resign, but get paid through September. A senior administration official told NBC News that they expect 5 to 10% of federal workforce to quit, which they estimate could lead around $100 billion in savings. That's a lot of money. All full-time federal employees are eligible except for members of the military, employees of the U.S. Postal Service, positions related to immigration enforcement, and national security and other jobs excluded by agencies. American taxpayers pay for the salaries of federal government employees, and therefore they deserve employees working on their behalf who actually show up to work in our wonderful federal buildings, also paid for by taxpayers. White House Press Secretary Carolyn Levitt said in the statement, if they don't want to work in the office and contribute to making America great again, then they are free to choose a different line of work. And the Trump administration will provide a very generous payout of 8 months. Now, that's the thing. Do we really believe they're getting the 8-month payout? So they're supposed to begin Tuesday and go through February 6th. I don't think anybody, well, some people may sign it, but you got to read all the fine details in that. Devil's in the details. If you choose to remain in your current position, we thank you for your renewed focus on serving the American people to the best of your abilities and look forward to working together as part of an improved federal workforce. The email that will be sent to federal workers reads, at this time, we cannot give you a full assurance regarding the certainty of your position or agency, but should your position be eliminated, you will be treated with dignity and will be afforded the protections in place for such positions. Let's see, it's a lot of other stuff in there. Okay, I'm not gonna read all that, but that's pretty much the gist of their thinking behind, hey, we want y'all to come back into office. So we've kind of covered the why. Now, the other part we didn't think of is like a lot of people who get in some of those government roles are older, and so they're getting ready to retire. So they can ride the gravy train till it's time to retire.
Yeah, man. 8 months of severance is pretty good. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Shoot, take that 8 months
But
to go find you a private sector job. Shoot.
right, but
If
the
you get
job,
it for 8 months,
yeah, that's
if capital I, capital F, question mark.
Yeah. But I would assume that it would just be one big lump sum. And of course, it's probably going to be taxed. See, now if you give it to you untaxed, and like most places, like I know, like when I was laid off, they gave you however much your severance was going to be plus whatever your bonus was paid out like at 100%. So I don't know if they got bonuses in those roles, but if you give them the severance and the bonus, hey, you might have it made.
yeah.
Maybe you can go job stack too.
Especially if you got like a lot of connections too. Like usually the people with like connections are the ones who are getting the jobs a lot of the time. Like it's good to have the certifications. It's good to have the skill sets. It's good to have the experience. Have all those things and the connections. You'll have a really good leverage over the job market.
So they said some interesting. Federal employees altogether only account for $136 billion. So how is 5 to 10% quitting going to save $100 billion? I don't know. I don't know how many federal employees there are. And I also got to reel my comments back in a little bit. It's federal employees. So that doesn't mean all different type of federal jobs, so some jobs to where the market isn't as boisterous as working in tech or networking, cybersecurity, you name it. So Some of the people might say, I might have to go in.
I think that this is also interesting to think about maybe some folks who already were concerned that something was going to happen before this even happened, this announcement. There were people who were probably already moving money around and trying to get themselves together because they were uncertain about the future of their job.
You're on mute, HD.
Yeah, I figured I was mute. I forgot. I really wanted you to go ahead and have your fun with ChatGPT and Deepseek.
All right. Let me pull up what I've got. Let's go down that rabbit hole.
Oh, honey, we got somebody that wants to join the panel. We got Bearded Ruckus here. Add you
Okay.
to the stage real quick to say his pleasantries. What's going on, man?
Hey, what's going on, HD? What's up, Shorty? What's up, Billions? How y'all doing?
Hey, good. How are you?
I actually
Doing
forgot
well, doing well.
by accident. I thought I put the Discord link and I put the link to join, but I was like, hey, more the merrier.
I was gonna ask you that too, if this was more of a selected panel or more open panel. So, but I saw you put the link. I was like, okay, I guess you answered the question.
But honestly, last couple of times it's really been like, hey, somebody could, cam up and got some stuff to contribute to the conversation. Why not? As Lapeep say, we just want to have a conversation.
Hey, that's what's up. Nah, I'm with it.
But let me get into this because this AI thing has been like crazy. You got all different type of think points and all these big tech CEOs bigging up Deepseek and the other people not bigging it up. So I want to see what she's talking about in this right here.
All right. Is it sharing?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So DeepSeek's safety guardrails failed every test researchers threw at its chatbot. Security researchers tested 50 well-known jailbreaks against DeepSeek's popular new AI chatbot. It didn't stop a single one. Ever since ChatGPT released at the end of 2022, hackers and security researchers have tried to find holes in large language models to get around their guardrails and trick them into spewing out hate speech, bomb making instructions, propaganda, and other harmful content. In response, OpenAI and other generative AI developers have refined their system defenses to make it more difficult to carry out these attacks. But as the Chinese AI platform DeepSeek rockets to prominence with its new, cheaper R1 reasoning model, its safety protections appear to be far behind those of its established competitors. Today, security researchers from Cisco and the University of Pennsylvania are publishing findings showing that when tested with 50 malicious prompts designed to elicit toxic content, DeepSeek's model did not detect or block a single one. In other words, the researchers say they were shocked to achieve a 100% attack success rate. The findings are part of a growing body of evidence that DeepSeek's safety and security measures may not match those of other tech companies developing LLMs. DeepSeek's censorship of subjects deemed sensitive by China's government has also been easily bypassed. 100% of the attacks succeeded, which tells you there's a trade off. DJ Sampath, the VP of Product, AI Software, and Platform at Cisco, tells Wired, yes, it might have been cheaper to build something here, but the investment has perhaps not gone into thinking through what types of safety and security things you need to put inside of the model. Other researchers have had similar findings. Separate analysis published today by the AI security company Adversera AI and shared with Wired also suggests that DeepSeek is vulnerable to a wide range of jailbreaking tactics, from simple language tricks to complex AI generated prompts. DeepSeek, which has been dealing with an avalanche of attention this week and has not publicly spoken about a range of questions, did not respond to Wired's request for comments about its model's safety setup. Let me see. There's a ton here. Let me see. I'm going to start here. So, the Cisco researchers drew their 50 randomly selected prompts to test DeepSeek's R1 from a well known library of standardized evaluation prompts known as Harm Bench. They tested prompts from 6 harm bench categories, including general harm, cybercrime, misinformation, and illegal activities. They probed the model running locally on machines rather than through Deepseek's website or app, which sends data to China. Beyond this, the researchers say they have also seen some potentially concerning results from testing R1 with more involved non linguistic attacks using things like Cyrillic characters and tailored scripts to attempt to achieve code execution. But for their initial test, his team wanted to focus on findings that stem from a generally recognized benchmark. So DeepSeek is just another example of how every model can be broken. It's just a matter of how much effort you put in. Some attacks might get patched, but the attack surface is infinite. If you're not continuously red teaming your AI, you're already compromised. So, what are your thoughts there, everyone?
Is that more along the lines of what Wiz published on their blog?
What Wiz published was just more of like the technical breakdown of how they were able to access the data via the database and things like that. It's just more of a technical breakdown for folks that are more interested in um, the tech behind the update.
Got it. Me personally, I think both things have happened to both platforms. Actually, let me go pull out exactly what I want to say because I was doing a little bit of multitasking while you were talking. As
Well,
normal.
I'll talk about the Wiz research. So they basically just found that the database was open to the internet. So there were no passwords, no authentication. You were basically just free to run havoc. And that particular database actually contained 1 million log entries. So if you think about chat history, API keys, a lot of the back end details, some of that metadata. And so, yeah, that was a big deal because you could potentially see. I mean, a lot of folks are putting stuff even into ChatGPT and they're not thinking about the sensitive nature of what they're putting into ChatGPT, like your phone number, your address that you uploaded. If it's on your resume, for example, when you put your resume into ChatGPT, you're not thinking about those details or uploading pictures, even though it says it's blurring out, your face for privacy reasons. If that data is not being secured in that database, then potentially your sensitive data could be exposed and or compromised.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
Oh no, I was going to say like it reminded me of an article that it was a post from TechCrunch on Instagram, and it was like the Pentagon was scrambling to block DeepSeek from some of their employees using it. And I'm like, why would you use DeepSeek on your Pentagon government laptop machine?
on your government anything.
They should be fired just for that.
Yeah.
I
And
think
that should be, I guess companies also have to start being more in line and in tune with what the trends are and making sure that they're sending out some of these notices to their employees. We know that the users are the weakest link in organizations. So if you're not doing obviously they should know, right? Duh, but they don't. So if you're not talking about stuff that could potentially be putting your organization at risk, it was talked about just like it was the equivalent to ChatGPT, right? So we know folks are using ChatGPT at work. So why not make an announcement about how, or even get it blacklisted, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's on the IT department. But go ahead,
Yeah.
Will.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's probably why it was so cheap. I mean, one of the biggest reasons why a lot of people are looking into DeepSeek is because it does things comparable to ChatGPT, but way more efficient or more cheaply. But then it also only costs like $5.6 million to develop. But then, like you see, a ChatGPT is like almost 600,000 for, 600 million. Yeah, sorry, it's 600 million dollars that they had to use in order to even develop ChatGPT. So you have, this big behemoth of OpenAI, completely funded. I'm gonna say completely funded, heavily funded by Microsoft, And then you have, this Chinese AI assistant, Deepseek, is, making its rounds, making Nvidia drop like $600 billion in valuation. A lot of people losing money. It's interesting to say, like, the innovation that's going to come from this. But I think that the article was talking about how it failed all the different security checks. I wonder if this because it's an open source AI model or not, or if that plays a part into it, because it could be fine tuned and manipulated. Especially since I heard that people can put it into a container like an Olama, and then be able to run it on their local machine and then do whatever changes they want to.
Yeah, this is just to piggyback off of that, right? You talked about efficiency, and this is what happens when you try to, like, you know, create something that has a lot of efficiency. It tends to have to sacrifice a lot of the security. So, I mean, technology has always been about being more efficient, and security has always been something that's been on the backdrop. So it's always been an afterthought. So, yeah, it's just, I think with these things, with tech in general, and especially AI, it's only as perfect as humans are, because humans are the ones that are creating it, and no human is perfect, so it's gonna have a lot of vulnerabilities in there. I think that's the issue. We place too much trust in the technology, and what Cyber Shorty was saying, at the end of the day, it's always is a user problem, because at the end of the day, cybersecurity is not about tech; it's about the business. It's a money generating machine, and when you put efficiency at the forefront and sacrifice security, you're gonna have a big problem. I mean, you're gonna have also some job security at the same time, but it is gonna be a big problem for a lot of companies, especially putting DeepSeek in the Pentagon. Man, you tripping.
And I also think it speaks on the lack of serious knowledge, or even just the seriousness that we take it, because people were flying to go ahead and download the application and try it out.
Mhm.
I text HD like, I want to try it out so bad, but I'm not gonna do it. Obviously folks want to see what it's about, see what the hype is about, but is it worth putting you and your device and your data at risk, right?
Yeah.
Only if you use the application. You can run it locally, like how somebody said in
Yeah, I seen that comment. To keep your data.
I was muted, but I was saying I didn't really care too much. Just like I didn't go run to Red Note when they, not let us use TikTok for a couple hours. Like, I'm like over everything. Yeah, your mic is a little low. I think it's because you're probably far away from. I don't know if you're using it as more as a boom mic.
My mic is like right here.
Yeah, when you get closer to it, it sounds good. I don't know if you could turn the gain up on there or not, but it's a little low when you sit back.
Okay, I'll keep it right. I can turn my gain up though.
Yeah, I think that'll help you out. While y'all talking, another incident happened today, and I know people have seen these people on Indeed before. Tata Consulting, y'all seen them before?
Very big consulting company.
Yeah,
look it up.
Indian company, right?
Yeah.
What company?
I don't know if it's Indian, but I know a lot of Indian people work for it. So
let me share.
TATA.
Yes.
Yeah. I haven't heard of this.
Let's see. Tata Technologies, a technology and product engineering service company. Yeah, owned by Indian conglomerate Tata Group. Yeah, so it's an Indian company. Has disclosed a ransomware attack that has forced it to suspend some of its services. Man, that's look at them. That's why I like the service provider got to get people to even service them. Like, so I don't know if they did that.
Hey HD, real quick, does my mic sound better now?
Yeah.
So I changed it because it automatically was making my voice lower on StreamYard.
Perfect. The Poon headquartered company said Friday that the incident affected a few of our IT assets, while its client delivery services remain fully functional and unaffected throughout. Further detailed investigation is underway in consultation with experts to assess the root cause and to take remedial action as necessary, the company said in its filing with the Indian stock exchanges. Tata Technologies, Scroll down too much. Tata Technologies did not disclose specific details about the attack, such as the ransomware group's identity or whether it's a paid ransom demand. Founded in 1989 as an automotive unit of Tata Motors and spun off as separate company in 1994, Tata Technologies provides product engineering and R&D services to automotive and aerospace equipment manufacturers and heavy engineering companies across 27 countries. The company has 20 delivery centers and more than 12,500 employees per its website. Tata Technologies also acquired global engineering entities including NCAT, International Cambridge Corporation, and Ascenda Engineering to expand its global footprint before going for an Indian IPO in November 2023. So they didn't immediately respond. So yeah, they definitely, somebody is busy tonight. They're busy right now trying to figure out what. I definitely know that life. It's
Insurance company working overtime.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. That's
All right. A lot of these companies are already hacked. They just don't know it yet.
I actually talked to a guy last night at this game, and he was telling me he sells insurance. He said that he had a company that he was trying to sell an insurance policy to, for this type of situation, and the lady, they didn't want to get it. They were bringing in like 65 or 6.5 or 65 million. I can't remember the exact number, one of the two, but I think the policy was going to cost them like 16. It was less than $20,000. They ended up getting a policy. They also ended up having an incident. The finance lady actually fell for a phishing attack and routed all the payroll to the wrong location. And so they were basically able to have that insurance policy chip in within 10 days, and they were able to actually obviously recover the payroll. But a great example to illustrate how important it is to make sure you have insurance.
Oh yeah, you can't go without it. I mean, I heard a statistic earlier today that said only around 13.5% of companies that are attacked with ransomware actually survive the attack. So it's a small number, but when I think about it, because it has to deal with like compliance, like if you have a healthcare company, you have HIPAA, CCPA, you have GDPR. There's so many different compliances that you have to follow, and if you are found negligent or you lose people's information, it's like millions upon millions of dollars that you could lose.
Per occurrence type of situation, yeah.
And
change healthcare.
Every time you survive, it's because you don't have enough competition in the industry, so you're going to survive regardless. So that's what we see with United Healthcare and Change Healthcare. They did something the other day and said they found us additional 190 million people affected or something like that.
Exactly. Yes, more people.
Which we said they initially said, like, they sent the things out. We also said like it's more people.
Like look at crowd. Go ahead, Rickles.
I'm not far. Go ahead, Billy's.
Yeah. Oh, okay, I was going to say like look at CrowdStrike, right? Like I think that they're like, I don't know if they're owned by Microsoft or are they just heavily invested in. What'd you say, AG?
I said no, they're just a publicly traded company that's just probably one of the best EDRs in the business. I mean, that's just one part of their business, not including their consulting stuff and all the other things that they offer. And they started having career like stock highs after the incident because like it literally was, hey, like probably you could say negligence on all parties and everybody getting sued, but for the most part, there was issues on both ends.
Yeah, even though that's not ransomware, it was just a push that they did. They pretty much tested in production and had that issue where everybody was missing their flights and everything. People were like hospitals were affected, colleges were affected. A whole bunch of different companies were affected by this. A lot of money was lost. I think Delta was one of the people who was suing them as well. So
they got their own type of. It's probably like some round robin stuff that they're trying to figure out. But I mean, the products and the people that work for them and stuff still work. So I think it's just one of them things. That's hey, it's a tech issue. Tech be teching. That's what's gonna happen.
Tech be teching.
If you're talking about reputational damage, no one will ever forget about Target. right?
Yeah. I
When
don't know.
Or
Target,
Sony.
yeah.
I think
I
some
mean,
people.
yeah, it was a long time ago, but
Yeah.
it rocked everybody. I'm not shopping at Target anymore.
Yeah, I was
They
working.
saying it now.
Yeah.
They want to swipe their cards.
Scared to death.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's interesting with the insurance companies, like all these compliance standards. The compliance doesn't mean that you're actually secure, right? They just keep that baseline minimum right there, and like they put a check mark. Okay, you're compliant, and that's about it. So they think that they're secure, but that's like the biggest trick that marketing has played on businesses. Okay, you're compliant. Here you go. You're good to go. You can show that you're compliant to everybody. Let me get your business. But I think the standards needs to go up a little bit higher than what is currently at right now, because being compliant is just not cutting it.
Yeah, and to add on to what you just said too, there's a lot of like developers, right, that may be using certain technologies in their code from people who they don't know, who are not compliant, but using it for software that is supposed to be compliant. So you could potentially run the risk of opening up your company to vulnerabilities because you're using a framework from like some people in a garage, right? Like you have no clue where this is coming from,
Yeah.
but you're putting in production level code.
Sure. Yeah. Okay, I'm not muted. Perfect. Yeah, I agree. I was trying to find this thing I thought I saved on Reddit. I forgot what it was. It was something funny. And I know Destiny has.
I have a Reddit topic. It's quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
The question was, is 25 years too old to start a career in cybersecurity?
Like
No.
25.
Yeah, like 2 and a 5. No, absolutely not. No, that's actually young. And that's all I have to say about it. There's no age to the game.
Shoot, I'm 40. Sure.
Yeah.
And 40 is really still considered young.
Yep.
Yeah,
A lot of people don't even figure it out. Celebrities and big bucks, people who got the money, they don't figure it out. I know that's right. Come on, Easy does it.
Yo, Easy does it. I've had conversation with Easy does it, man. She a real one. She's been putting in that work.
Somebody said, bro, I'm 38.
Yeah. There's people in the industry like in their late 50s, early 60s, still doing it.
Yep.
Yeah, I started my journey 2.5 years ago, and I just recently got in about 2 weeks ago in the space.
Yeah.
So let this be proof. We got people all across different ages that are saying no, that they're still doing it, they're pursuing it. It's never too late.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think like I have people ask me all the time, I'm 45. I'm like, if you got the desire to get in, like go ahead. Just don't put the year you graduated on your resume. I want to age.
Yeah.
So Jalen Davis says they're 23. Yeah, I don't know why. Like I think it's like I think Gen Z got so much access to so much information. They think they behind in life, but they really are where they supposed to be.
Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I feel like they're putting a lot of pressure on themselves from very young ages to be great, which is great, but also enjoy the journey.
Right.
The bills ain't going nowhere.
Somebody said they got called Unk brother than they 40. I'll agree. 40 is about Unk status. I ain't gonna lie.
I'm gonna say 30, 35. You can be Unk for sure.
I'm like big bro right now. I'm not Unk yet.
You see that picture? It was like big bro, Unk, and then something else like OG.
OG is crazy.
Yeah, Pops OG.
OG is crazy.
Yeah, my last boss called me OG all the time. I was like, listen, man, we gotta cut that right now.
Yeah, I know. Like I said, I'll be 33 this year, so I ain't Unk status. Even though, if I get the Kobe 24, then you can call me Unk. I put it like that.
Yeah, I'm just trying to make it the old head. That's all.
Right. I don't know if he was scared of getting old though. I don't like you. That's the goal.
Same.
Man, what? I'm
That's
waiting for
where
my
the
white
juice
beard.
at. Right.
Man, these kids gave me a couple of grades. No, I agree though, but I think these kids, think about they 5 years. Somebody that's 25 is 5 years moved from being 20, and they was in the world in the pandemic. They didn't experience much yet. So the way that they view things is entirely different of us that actually, remember life before the pandemic.
No, this is so good. That's such a good comment.
Hey, actually tell your son, no, go ahead and get the CCNA. He not gonna see the A+ on jobs you want. Tell him to get the CCNA.
Yeah, Cisco certified. Yeah.
Get the CCNA.
Yeah.
We done with A+. If you want to get into IT, get you the course careers IT course, which you can see across the ticker right there, or you can go ahead and go to Google IT Professional. Get you some tangible skills, but don't get the A+ unless somebody pay for it, right? That's a good way to pigeonhole you straight into help desk.
And let me ask you this: so in help desk, I'm hearing a lot of people say it's hard to like transition out of it. Is it true? Like, is it hard to transition out of help desk to something else, or is it like like any other job?
I think
it's hard if you stay there a long time because all your skills or say help desk, the way you view things will say help desk. So the longer you stay, the harder. You're best to 6 months to a year to get out, or you figure out how to finesse your experience and make it look like you did sysadmin or something else.
Okay, so you got to finesse, or what is it? You have to enhance your experience.
There we go. That's the word right there. You gotta butter it up.
Right.
That reminds me. So, guys, I have to stop before saying this. So, I have an echo coming from me from somewhere. I don't know if it's coming from somebody's computer or not.
I don't hear nothing.
Yeah, I was hearing an echo earlier. Oh, there we go. I don't think I hear it anymore.
All right. So, I told Lee and Cyber Shorty, I had put into the chat. I don't know what day that was, but I said, "Yo, paying $9K to get Security Plus is nasty work." Now,
wait, what?
I'm about to throw up. It's disgusting, actually.
Context. I did this video with Destini last year to where she was talking about how she did Clicked and help her become a security engineer. This guy coming on the video on TikTok was like, "Yo, man, I'm seeing this now, but I feel like I'm stuck." I was like, "What's going on?" "Man, I paid $9K for this community college boot camp." And so here's the thing. People often think because college endorses a boot camp that it's their boot camp. That's not it. There's nothing that separates the boot camp the college endorses versus the one that another person may run. It's just they got to the college first and said, "Hey, we can do all this right here through the college name and give you a percentage of whatever we make it." But if you're going to pay for a boot camp, do not pay for a boot camp that's getting you certifications. I mean, let me rephrase that. It's okay if it's getting certifications, but it can't be like Security Plus and you're paying $9K for that. You can go get the book and pay, I think it's like $350 to take the test, and you can pass Security Plus on your own, saving a lot more money. So if all you get at the end of it is that, then that's not good. And the dude said it was like $9K. He took a loan after to do it, and I was like, man, that sucks for him.
Wow.
Because I don't care too much about the price, but that output doesn't match.
It doesn't match the price point.
9,000.
Yeah,
it doesn't.
And then for the loan, I mean, the interest rate is going to be so high, especially because right now interest rates are really high. So, you're going to be paying like, I think for like 10,000, you could potentially pay like close to like $2,000 per year if you don't pay it off. Like if you just make the minimum payments, so you'd be paying like close to 2,000. It's like 1,700 in just interest alone.
I want to free us from the boot camp shackles this year, please.
If you're gonna pay $10K, at least get like 2 sands, sir. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
and it sucks too because of what the culture has turned boot camps into, because there are still some really good boot camps out here, but it's so hard to figure out which ones are good.
Right. So this guy says I got Sec Plus and CISA Plus with security clearance and still struggling to land an entry gig. And this is why I want Lee on the panel, because he tries to tell everybody, like, just because you got a security clearance don't mean you're going to be able to get a security job so easily. You may be able to get another job that's a government type of job with the clearance, but not necessarily cybersecurity. The thing with the certs is that, and I had a conversation with a guy today. He was telling me how he was in some military program where they pretty much make them get like a cert a month. He was just like, after I finish, I'm doing the next thing, and I'm just really not retaining information.
Mm-hmm.
He's been doing, I forgot what he did in the Army, but he's been doing service desk and something else. And just like I did in the last stream, I brought the guy up and I asked him that question for the SOC analyst questions. He didn't really know how to answer them. So I kind of had to walk him through and kind of make the content of it a little bit more simple for him to correlate it with things that happens in the real world. Like, for example, hey, when we have all these apps, we go log onto our email from somewhere else, we immediately get a notification from Google like, hey, what's that you? I was like, so that's considered an anomaly to Google. So you need to figure out why it's an anomaly in the systems. But those certifications don't teach you to think like that. So on top of their resume was doing more telling than showing. So they had all these buzzwords for things you can get to possibly try to get a blue team role, but it wasn't lining up right. And then there was another guy I talked to, and he might be watching the stream. Though he had some good stuff on his resume, I was like, well, you got all these keywords on here, but you just went to job descriptions and threw them on here. I was like, if the recruiter, whoever look at your resume, they be like, just because you got this on here, I don't see you utilizing this stuff. So it's like, he was talking about, he want to be, I think, at ISO, but he's talking about NIST, RMF, and CSF, and all these other things. But I was like, well, we don't see you showcasing using any of those things on here. So how are they supposed to believe you even know how to utilize this stuff? And once I said that to them, they kind of got it. I was like, you can't just add keywords and thinking it's going to help you go get an interview at Netflix.
Yeah, you
Everybody be on there.
You really need to learn how to illustrate your impact and make sure you're telling the best story. You have to tell the best story about who you are, what you know how to do, what your skill set is. And I think that's the thing. I feel like a lot of the times folks are doing stuff, but they're not able to translate that into impact that will make someone want to hire you.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say, and the thing too, like, people majority of the time they'll hire you because they like you. They'll see like, okay, you might not know a lot, but we can train you in this space. But because they actually have a vibe with you, they actually like who you are as a person. You're a company fit like for the culture, right? You can identify well, you have the people skills, you can communicate effectively. They see that you're probably just being just all in. They can see your passion. And that's the thing. Like, you have to. It's gonna sound bad, but you have to sell yourself. You can have an okay product, but if people really like rock with you, they're gonna rock with you, and they're gonna want you on their team. Like, yeah, you can get all these certs and everything, and speak all the techie stuff, but if the person doesn't like you and they see that you're not a fit for their culture, they're not really gonna like get you in. Right. So I mean that's just and I know it depends also on the company and everything else, but for the most part, it goes back to networking, right? Making meaningful, and even the term networking, I like saying meaningful relationships. If you make those meaningful relationships and meaningful connections with people, right, and they see the type of person that you are, right, that you're trustworthy, you're genuine, you're sincere, you actually care for people, you actually want to help people, man, that's going to go a long way for you.
Mm-hmm. You know what? To add on to that, I completely agree with what you just said. But I think that HD said something earlier, and he was talking about like companies taking a chance on you. But I don't think that people should go into the mindset of, I just want the company to take a chance on me. You're supposed to go in there thinking that you are the best choice or the best person for the job at that time. Because coming into it thinking that, oh yeah, I just want a company to just take a chance on me, doesn't sound like you are confident in yourself and your abilities. They could just say, hey, you know what? I like you. You're willing to learn. I'm willing to coach you. I think that you'll fit in with the team. I think that your current skill set or experience is good for what we're looking for. And also, like, that's almost like saying, if I took a chance on you, that means that we could have hired somebody else, but we just told them no, and then we hired you instead. Not understanding that not everybody has the same skill sets or experience that you have. And then also the point about the resume and just putting things on there. Every single skill that you have in your resume needs to have a story or a bullet point associated with it, detailed out in your experience. So that way they can see how you utilize a specific skill. Because if you put something on there that you don't really know, you may have used one day in one class or one lab, they may ask you to go up to the whiteboard and start answering some questions, and then you won't know what to, know the answer. So make sure that you are being truthful about your experience as well.
No, I agree. So I'll clarify that point about taking a chance. That's for the people who really don't have a lot of experience.
Yeah.
They probably looked up and got an interview. And so it's like, what are you going to say that's going to make them want to take that chance on you? Because like I said, a lot of people, all their experience have been in service desk or help desk, and maybe they didn't do any projects or didn't, but they luckily got an interview. At the point, the company is taking a chance on them because they haven't proven that they can technically do the job that they're getting interviewed.
Yeah, but then I'm more so just saying it as in having confidence in yourself to, hey, I know that I can go into this interview and do well. Because if you go in there and you're real humble and you're like talking like, oh, I'm not really that good, or I worked on this little small thing in this one little lab, people already gonna try to make things hard for you when you go into interview. If you go in there like with low confidence, they just gonna bring you even lower. At least start up at the top, and then they bring you down maybe the middle.
I've told the story about my experience with this situation where someone took a chance on me, but they did pick apart my resume and literally asked me about every single thing that was on that resume. Well, what's the difference between this tool and this tool? When would you use this tool? And it was like 4 or 5 of them. And that was honestly the hardest interview I've ever done still to this day, because they picked it apart. And I'm glad that before the interview, I had went back to study my resume and looked at the labs that I was referencing in my write-up from those labs so that it was fresh on my mind. And it wasn't like I felt caught off guard because I wasn't prepared for this question, or I wasn't prepared to explain how I use Nmap or Zenmap or any networking tools. And so don't lie on your resume because it will be apparent, and you could potentially be eliminating yourself from a potential opportunity. So make sure that you know the stuff that you're listing and that you're able to speak to it. And it's okay if you need to study your own resume to refresh your memory. If you're not doing some of these things actively, that might be something that you need to do more often to make sure that at the drop of a question, you're able to chime in with what you do know about that particular topic.
Yeah, and man, it gets hard. Another thing we're not even bringing up is that some people have accents. So it makes the interview even more difficult. And like, especially if you aren't even really used to working with like diverse groups, and that's going back to that diversity, right? So if you are working with people from like other cultures or other like countries that may not be like English may not be their first language, and then you don't also know a lot of the like skills, or you haven't really worked with a lot of the tools professionally or in production, and you go up in the interview and you have all these different programming languages and tools that you saw on a YouTube video, and then now they asking you what HDBC is, and you're like, what is that? Like I did. And they're talking about the Java database connector when it's JDBC. I'm like, oh, you mean that? I thought you said H. I think it's J. So, stuff like that will happen. So make sure that you understand your paradigm of what you're trying to do, and go out there and network, because that can also help you with getting the interview and also the job as well.
Yeah. Get the captions to the interview.
Right, yeah. Capture at the bottom.
Yeah. No, yeah, those putting those bullet points in the skill section and just putting those one word skills, it ain't gonna cut it nowadays. Like you're gonna put Seam, PowerShell, what else? Wireshark Nieces, like, okay, what about these tools that you're proficient in? Because you just put those bullet points, they're just gonna be like open ended, and then that's when what Cyber Shorty is gonna say, they're gonna look at your resume and they're gonna question you on all those things, and if they want to be, I'm not gonna say the word, but they don't want to be good to you, they're gonna go ahead and ask you some crazy questions regarding those tools.
Yeah. And stop using these AI tools to auto mass apply and change up your
And but
resume.
I also feel like necessarily it doesn't even have to be that they're not being good to you, because they might want to know, do you actually know this stuff before we decide to bring you on board? It's okay. Like they asked me a couple questions and I was like, instead of guessing, I'm like, I don't know. But what I would do is I would look that up, and then I
Yeah,
would get some context first.
for sure.
So yeah,
Yeah.
if you don't know,
Good
don't
fit
make it
for
up.
the team sometimes. It's just they be like, hey, whatever you said in that personality sprint, maybe they just wasn't rocking with it. Now sometimes you think, hey, I pretty much said everything. Like I think the hardest thing, if I be honest, and a lot of people run into this, like you get to the end rounds and you're just thinking these people body language is good towards you, but they're just professional fakers.
Mm.
That could be discouraging. I'd rather you show that, hey, nah, I ain't rocking what you said, fam. That could be a big issue to somebody because you're thinking the whole time we're good, the whole time saying we're sorry to inform you, but yeah, they went with somebody else.
Yeah.
Oh,
Dude, I was in this
man.
awkward interview last year for a position in for GRC, like about 8 hours away from where I live. I don't know what I was thinking about applying to, but I wanted to at least get the interview experience. So I went with it. And it was so awkward. So I was just interviewing with the manager. He was like very, very dry. And he would ask me a question regarding, NIST and one of the other compliance standards. And I would answer him, and he would just like stare at me with his stone cold face and just like, okay. And then he kind of like would challenge me, like if he's trying to like show me that he knows more than me. But I'm like, I'm not trying to challenge you. I'm just answering your question. I want to get hired.
Yeah.
But it was a very awkward interview. Very awkward. I didn't, even if they would have given me the job at the end of the day, I probably would have just said no. I would have moved.
Yeah, that's their interview style. A lot of interviewers are like that. And then I think the worst one is where they purposefully act rude to you during the interview to stress test you. That's another interview style that you may encounter, and I've encountered it myself, where the interviewer was like asking me about my experience and then would just cut me off. And I was like, oh, okay, I worked on this tool. Oh, how did you use this tool? Oh, okay, well, I did this. Okay, well, explain to me what the difference is between this tool and like the difference between MySQL and MS SQL for Microsoft or something. And I'm sitting here like, okay, I can tell you the differences is that the brand name or some different functions are different. No, I want you to go down each keyword and tell me the differences between them. This was like a real question they asked me. And I'm like, okay, well, I can't off the top of my head in the interview tell you all the different keyword differences between two different technologies. So like those are some things that you run into sometimes, but usually when people make things hard for you in the interview like that, it most likely means that it's probably not going to be a good environment to work for anyway. Get the experience to interview, move on to the next one.
No, that's facts. And I want to welcome Damien the Great to the panel. He kind of been
Yo.
kind of quiet.
What's going on, y'all? I didn't want to interrupt y'all. I know y'all was having a deep conversation, but I was agreeing with definitely like if you walk into an interview and like your interviewers are just being rude, and it's like a hostile environment, being hostile, like 9 times out of 10, the environment in itself is going to be hostile and stressful. You probably don't want that for yourself. I've been in several interviews where it was like that. I'm just like, yeah. I also think that one thing is like, I'm very big on diversity, and if I am going through like several different rounds of interviews, and I don't see at least like of a diverse list or panelists or a diverse number of different people from different backgrounds interviewing me, that's also a red flag as well. Because I'm just like, did you hire the same race for this position, or is this like kind of a lot? What's going on with that? So I see that a lot too.
Oh yeah, that's facts. I know, like I was telling my client, he just I think he accepted his offer for Capital One, and I was telling him I talked to them before, and I liked that they had a black dude on the panel, was cool, down to earth, had locks, and he was knowledgeable, knew a lot of stuff. Came from, I think, Chevron, if I'm not mistaken. I can go look it up after this. And I was like, that stood out to me because like you'll go through like 30 interviews and I see nobody do it like you.
Mm.
And so
I've only had one person that looked like me that interviewed me.
Yeah. And he like advocating for me.
And I did feel like she was in my corner, and I did get the job.
Hey,
Awesome.
we love
Awesome.
that.
That's what you need sometimes.
Yeah.
They give you a lot of
feedback
sometimes.
We need a lot of what? I'm sorry?
Vague feedback. Like, nah, just tell me like, you know, what I could have did better or whatever.
Yeah. I think they do that for compliance. Like I remember I asked for feedback. They were like, oh, you know, I'm gonna ask the hiring manager for feedback for the role, you know, why you didn't get it. And then I actually can't even really share that with you right now. They didn't even take any notes. That was actually what one of them said. They was like, they didn't take any notes. Like they didn't provide any feedback. So you got to make yourself like, yeah.
We already have an internal candidate, but I didn't want to let that stop me from wasting your time.
That's crazy.
Right.
That's fact.
Somebody in the comment, Loadout Lab said, it also helps interviewing when you don't necessarily need the job. Bro, my confidence was through the roof. And that is so true.
That's true.
It's so true.
That's true.
That's facts.
Going back to that $9,000 for a Security Plus cert, man. All right. So can I drop one gem here regarding education, if I may?
Go for it.
All right. So if you see yourself that you're not economically well off right now, you can go ahead and try to apply for a Pell Grant, right, for your education, right, for a university or a school that's actually, you know, in terms with the government. You apply for it. If you get it, you're pretty much getting a free ride for your bachelor's, right? The thing is this, people think about education in this form. Yeah, I get the degree, I'm gonna go get a job. That's the wrong way to think about it. It's like going to a job and you're thinking that your paycheck is your only way of income. You're missing the whole big picture. Your biggest thing in your job is gonna be a benefit package, right? Your employee stock program, your matching 401k, your HSA accounts, all those things is what's gonna get you a bag in the long term, right? So when you're actually applying for a Pell Grant, and if you can get that Pell Grant, you can get a free ride to your university. What you'll have there is actually resources that you can take to other platforms and get access to those platforms for free to actually upskill and do labs, for example. So if you're in WGU with your whole school domain, you can get access to your Udemy business account, which is going to give you access to like 24,000, courses for free. You can go to a Keyway account, which was before, I think it was Cloud Guru, and you're going to get all those courses for free, meaning Azure, meaning AWS, a whole bunch of certification with labs, and you can actually put those on your resumes because they will give you step-by-step tutorial and actually how to do those labs, right? So think about your schooling as a benefit package. What are the benefits that come out of it, and how can I get the best, return on investment, your ROI, right? You want to make sure that your school's paid for. You don't want to go in school with debt, right? So try to get those Pell Grants, try to get those scholarships first and foremost, and then use the benefit package that come with the schooling in order to upskill to get your, the labs, your hands-on experience, because that's what's going to really count. That's what's going to stand out in your resume is your hands-on experience with different things that you're applying to. So it's just, my little advice with that, because is the whole topic with degrees and certifications, but I think they're missing the whole bigger picture that's behind that. And I think is the benefit package that you can utilize outside of that, that's going to help you get into the field.
Yeah. I want to 100% agree with you because I was a recipient of the Pell Grant, and the Pell Grant, you do not have to pay it back. It is there to help you 100%. You just have to, I think you just have to apply for it, but it may be different per the university or school that you go to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would also like to add that as well. Like, I got my undergrad from TSU in computer science, and I'm like first gen everything. So I received the Pell Grant, and like definitely helped me navigate like college, helped me pay for it. But I think the thing to add on top of the amount of resources that you get is that you also get the opportunity to network with so many people when you get into these universities. So it's just like if you go to college, like don't just go to college and like go to class. Go to college, go to class, join some like some campus organizations, especially if it's something that you're interested in, especially if it's like an engineering organization like NSBE or National Society of Black Engineers, stuff like that. Go to conferences, register for conferences. You know what I'm saying? If you're a student, sometimes these conferences will give you like a student discount. Sometimes they'll let you come for free. Immediate networking, right? Like you're able to go in there. Some of these, I got my first couple of internships just by going to a conference and just networking with people. Because ultimately, like you put yourself out there as a student, and you can pretty much guarantee a spot with some of these companies to get an internship. And then from there, once you graduate, you have an internship. So 9 times out of 10, if you do well, you're going to end up having an offer by the end of the day when you graduate. So there's just something to also keep in mind. Networking is literally like the number one thing that's going to set you apart from a lot of your peers. I'm not saying that GPA doesn't matter. Go to class, but make sure you also network as much as possible as well while you're there and take advantage of the resources that your university provides.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah,
I'm actually.
Yeah, go ahead,
I was-
business.
Related to the
Yeah,
conversation.
I was going to actually say that I'm going to be at the NSBE conference in Chicago. My company is flying me out to go recruit 2 entry level software engineers. So, like, I'm actually going to be doing exactly what you're saying, Davian.
Join NSB.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Get on y'all Zoom.
Yeah,
And it's very cheap to join SB.
it is.
Very affordable.
Mm-hmm.
I only knew about NSB back when I used to work at the College of Engineering for like the accountant. That's how I found out about NSB. Other than that, I didn't know about it. But I was going to ask Damien. I seen he had a black cat over there. I was going to say, was the cat's name Salem?
Oh
Sabrina the
no,
Teenage
no,
Witch.
it's not. So we was gonna name him Salem when I adopted him, but we kept his original name because Grim sounds way better.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, Grim is nice, but he's not Grim at all. Actually, he's very, very attached to my hip. So
Right. And I think Destiny got her a big dog.
Period.
Yeah.
Big Stephanie.
that's what I'm talking about.
I got a
feel
big
like,
dog too.
They got that viral clip of Shannon Sharp saying, "Yeah, she said she want a big dog." Some. It's like, that is not the words. My black cat is named.
T'Challa.
That's what I'm
cute.
talking about, right?
That's
I
kind
would
of
get
that's
my
cool.
kids fish. We're going back to the 90s. We getting fish tanks.
I had a fish and it died, and I was so scared to flush it down the toilet. I just let it be there for a while until it started to stink. So
Oh wow! How long did that take?
not long. I was so scared. I'm scary. I'm so scary.
Put a 1 in the chat if you remember when Walmart used to have fish tanks, and fish food and stuff in.
Man.
Oh my
Definitely.
goodness! Wow. Yeah. Put that one there.
Or
Back when it was 24/7.
or raise your hand if you remember when Walmart had the lobsters over there by the
Oh
frozen.
my gosh!
Oh,
Yes,
wow.
the live lobsters.
There you go. Look at the lobster. Like growing up, I feel bad a little bit for my kids. It's like y'all growing up different. Like it used to be a little adventure going to the store when I was
Mhm.
you see the lobsters. You go play the games and electronics.
Yep.
Had the live demos, like you literally got the GameCube controller coming outside of the window,
Yeah.
like right there, and you could just play, while your mom and stuff is just going around.
Mhm.
Oh, demo disc.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like my mom used to work at Walmart. Like for like by the time I was 13, she started working there. So she worked there for like 12, 13 years. And at the school, I used to go to Walmart. So I was either in books or I was either in electronics. So that's why I used to do all my AR things. I was either reading books or I was in electronics until she got to work, what, 4:30 or something like that. So yeah, man, these kids.
Do y'all remember ringback tones and ringtones that you
Oh,
had
yeah.
to actually pay for?
Ringtone.
I never
my
did the
goodness.
ringback tone. You had some money back then if you had that, but I had the ringtones.
I think I had-
I used to record and then like it'd
On
be
your
playing like
voicemail?
yeah, be recording it and then have it as my ringtone.
Yeah.
Like I had "This Is Why It's Hot" as my ringtone.
And do you remember when you used to could get phone cases like 3 for $10, 3 for $25 from the
Man,
mall?
Yeah.
And now they
Back
want
up
$80.
Your bag of potato chips back in New York was 25 cents.
Yeah.
4 for $25.
Shoot, the little Debbie's would be 25 cents. You get a honey bun for like 25, 35 cents.
When you could actually get 25 pieces of penny candy for a quarter.
oh yeah. I
And now they
remember that.
give you
Shoot.
17 for $1.50.
We so millennial. Y'all remember going to play like the Flash games, mini clip and stuff like that?
Oh man, the Sweet Life of Zack and Cody Flash game that they had back then.
So,
I remember that.
Yeah,
Do you remember that
They
Lilo
completely
and
got rid of
Stitch
Flash.
sandwich making game?
Oh yeah, the sandwich. Yeah,
The sandwich
yellow.
making game? Yeah, where it was like
With the
spin
yellow
around.
one.
Dig good on the-
I used to play that one out. I ain't gonna lie.
Play that one down, okay?
Guys,
Yes.
y'all gotta remember Oregon Trail.
I
That
was just thinking about Oregon. Oh, what?
Y'all remember Flippy Fish?
What about Frogger?
Frogger
Yeah.
was another one.
Yeah, I had Frogger, Paperboy.
Y'all remember Pop Tropica?
Yes.
I do. I do.
Nah.
He
said
said,
no.
y'all talking about I'm Unc while y'all taking it back. He said, I ain't gonna talk about no chirps in here.
And
I
man,
had
bring
this,
the chirps back. What a time to be alive. What a
Hey,
time
listen,
to be
yo,
alive.
all I know is that I would whoop anybody in Nintendo 64 with Pikachu on Super Smash Brothers, right? So
Nah, you was gonna get this work.
I had the whole block come to my house, man, doing competitions.
Yeah, Pikachu was like the best back then.
But nah, real quick.
Nextel had the game on lock.
Did
Yeah,
y'all
Nextel was dope.
What you
No, I
about
was
to
gonna
say?
say, did
Ishi?
y'all ever have a voicemail where you tricked the people to make it seem like you was on the phone, but you wasn't?
My sister.
No,
Man.
You be talking hello? Yeah, hold on, I can't hear you. No, I'm
my
just
daughter
playing.
has that right now. Oh, I hate it so much.
Yeah.
I taught her too well. She's literally a 90s kid just in this era.
Yeah.
She
She has the
watches Saved by the Bell. She watches Family Matters. She watches Boy Meets World. She's a 90s kid in this era.
Cultured, absolutely.
I remember-
Cyber J said,
we
who
watched
had the best
School.
video game chat? Nick, Cartoon Network, or Disney? I don't
Cartoon
know.
Network.
Cartoon Network and Disney ate down with the games.
Yes, they did.
Yeah, Cartoon Network
Yeah.
I think wins.
I
though.
never really was on Cartoon Network games like that.
I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Network definitely won.
Cause they got Kids Next Door. They had that
Yep.
game, and they had the Teen Titans game.
Yeah.
They had a lot of, but Disney had that Kim Possible game that had me in the headlock for the longest.
Kim
But see, you
Possible.
know, I didn't get DSL until about sophomore year in high school, so I didn't play a lot of games unless I went to my grandma's house because like they had DSL over there. Like that's where I really got the best at the computer. Like I
Same.
think too. Like
I'm with you 110%.
we ain't far removed from like a computer used to be a necessity. Like it's not something that everybody had. Everybody still don't got computers now.
Yeah.
You get to go to the library to use a computer. Like using a computer without having to worry about who on the phone was a privilege back then.
Yeah.
Call me at 7 when my
Right.
minutes free is moved.
Oh,
Yes. Call me back in 5 minutes.
Yo.
What's something we say on Marco Polo?
Somebody also said Black Planet. Yeah. We ain't had no business on that back then.
The other day I was driving, and we're gonna get back on topic, guys, I promise. But the other day I was driving, and Justin Timberlake, "My Love" came on. I said, "Hey, I remember this used to be my MySpace song."
Hey.
Yeah.
That's
I
what
said
MySpace
MySpace. Yeah.
man.
That was the
I
first. That
was.
was like the first open source social media. You can do anything in
Oh,
MySpace.
Oh yeah.
It's
you
just
had
was
the
so much better
matrix
than
going
Facebook.
down this page, like some HTML. We were all developers back then.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes,
Y'all putting that
Yeah.
on my resume, man. What you mean?
right.
Hey,
All right.
listen,
HTML developer.
y'all do experience. Just say you was the lead supervisor at Circuit City. You know what I'm saying?
Hey,
General manager at Payless.
I remember they used to say, "Oh, you
Oh,
too young to be having a MySpace."
I was way too young
yeah.
for sure.
yeah,
On there getting the new comments. I own this picture. Why I'm not in your tops? Oh, you be a little kid arguing about stupid stuff.
Definitely.
Why
I
I'm not
was
in
up to no
Or
good.
rushing home from school to upload the pictures y'all took today
uh-huh.
to
Yeah.
MySpace. Yeah.
yeah,
Or going into LimeWire to download your music.
bro. Getting
It was
a
bear shit.
page. That's what we
I
called
broke
it.
the computer. No, actually, I broke our computer because I put my USB into the computer at the school library and put it into put it at home. The computer on the same system, and I ain't know how to get rid of it. It was just destroying the
Yeah.
computer. I destroyed the hard drive.
Y'all remember when Wi-Fi first came out? I remember like I was scared to ask my mom to like, "Hey, mom, can you like pay for Wi-Fi? So that way I can play it?" Because Sony PlayStation had it where you had to use Wi-Fi in order to like play the games online. So I was like, "Mom, can you like get Wi-Fi?" So it was new, and it took some convincing, but she went ahead and paid for it, and then now look at Wi-Fi is in use
Now
everywhere.
it's just ridiculous price.
Crazy.
Ridiculous price.
Yeah.
Can't get around it.
And then Sony got hacked. Not hacked. It got the DDoS attack.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They don't tell you this in
Xbox was my first introduction to networking.
Right.
Man, Xbox had it bad. The
Yeah,
what was
that's
it?
real.
The 4 rings a
they
day.
don't tell you.
Oops, y'all couldn't hear me. That's why I was just saying. Let me go ahead and put these TikToks over here. That Destiny was wanting to do. This is one. I think this is the one for Black men in leadership, right?
Black women.
Black
Yep.
women in leadership.
Yep.
Okay, you put.
I
Black men.
probably put the opposite ones.
Yeah, that's what it was. I got thrown off. Okay, it's cool. We let it rock.
They don't tell you this in leadership school or leadership books. But as a Black woman in leadership, these 3 mistakes could be costing you respect. Mistake number 1, over explaining. Do you catch yourself explaining your decisions 5 different ways? That's not leadership. That's doubt speaking. So I need you to make the call, communicate once, and move on. Mistake number 2, you might have the superwoman syndrome. I know. Sometimes we want to help our employees, but you didn't get here by being everyone's assistant. So are you doing your team's work? Because if you are, that's not proving yourself. That's diminishing yourself. Mistake number 3, control freak. Your true power is in orchestrating excellence. It isn't doing everything. So your job is the vision, not operation. Remember, when you're in these positions, you're supposed to be changing the game. So act like it.
Boom. She
Period.
dropped the mic right there.
Y'all know why we always
I want y'all to play that. It's gonna go somewhere else. Which I think
I didn't hear no lies, but she told me.
I think it's important
I agree.
that we take a moment to reflect on that stuff that she said. I think all 3 of them are relevant. And I think a lot of the times, women especially, like we have to remember that we don't have to be so specific we don't have to overthink everything, right? I think the overthinking piece was the one that hit the nail on the head for me, was overthinking everything or over explaining. Just like a lot of the times you'll see in like on social media, a lot of the memes or the jokes, on how men talk or boomers talk and how they just get straight to the point. But we always got to warm the conversation up, right? Hey, how's your day going? Hope your day's going well. Instead of just asking what the request may be or just getting straight to the point. We always think that we got to butter the conversation up.
Yeah. That's actually a skill, like in communication, is to say things in the most efficient way, like with the least amount of words, but still get the point across.
Yeah. That's why the best rappers know how to do that.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna tell y'all who though.
The best rapper?
No, the best rappers know how to communicate effectively, and they don't make you have to pick a dictionary up and try to decipher all these, lyrical miracles there where they not saying it. They just want to sound smart. It's the same thing I see on resumes when I see word salad. I'm like, this ain't telling me nothing, bro. Like, wrap it
Lyrical miracle.
So let me play devil's advocate with this one, right? And say, because I agree 1000% with what you said. But there's also another element to it, because nowadays listening is a skill, right? People hear, but they don't listen. So what tends to happen is that you can communicate clearly, right, and delegate what you want for them to do, but people will always find a way to try to misinterpret you. It doesn't matter how clear it comes out with. If their intention is to just take it and run with it however they want to, they're gonna do it. It's gonna come out one ear and come out the other. They're gonna listen to whatever it is they're gonna listen to. And to be honest, it happens a lot more often than not in these days, because the attention span of people is not like how it was before, where we actually had to go research certain things, actually spend hours in a book or in articles and actually find certain things out and make the context clues and see what's in context. Right nowadays, you go on Google and put in whatever you want to know and you get it. You go on ChatGPT, get what you want to know and get it. So the attention span isn't there anymore. So the listening skills have diminished greatly. So a lot of people just get misinterpreted.
Yeah, I think one thing that I always recommend to at least people who I work with or I mentor is just active listening is key. Because ultimately you have to be able to listen to what they're saying, be present in the moment, and also comprehend what it is that they're asking for and ask questions to clarify, to make sure that you're on the same level, right? And I think in a lot of cases, because we're trying to get to the point, we're trying to get to the thing, get things done as quickly and as efficiently as possible. Sometimes we don't leave open that space for people to ask those questions or to provide that feedback. So it's always good to ensure we make that space to remove the ambiguity, and to maximize the amount of clarity, to give the people who needs that amount of clarity that they need. And that's just my 2 cents, but I agree with everything that she said for sure.
Yeah.
Let's make it a little bit of comedic now real quick.
Y'all know why we always in meetings, instead of just receiving an email, which would have equally sufficed, sitting in the meeting thinking to yourself, we ain't need a whole meeting for this. We ain't need that. Yeah, because people up at the job can't read, boo. They can't read. They send out the emails. They send out the memos. People can't read. Okay, and then after 3 days of not following the new directive, they figure, you know what? Let's just call a meeting. You know what, matter of fact, let's just put a meeting on the schedule for once a week so that we could go over any changes, so that for here on out, people can't claim that they didn't know what the fuck was going on because they didn't read the email or understand it. The girls can't read. That's why we always up in a motherfucking meeting, because they tried to email. They did. At one point, they was emailing, and it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough because the girls can't read, and they don't read, and that's the problem. Then also, now that we talk about emails, who the fuck do y'all be talking to in them emails? I don't do the back and forth and the tit for tat. Baby, I will not reply. I will not reply. And if I do reply, I will be replying with my higher up and yours. So watch that tone. If you unsure about the tone, take the email, put it in ChatGPT, say, hey, ChatGPT, make this sound a little kinder and more professional. Because it'd be unprovoked. Who the fuck are you talking to? You gotta remember, these correspondents, they don't have voice inflection and all of that. So I'm reading it based on what it say on this damn computer screen. And y'all be talking crazy in the motherfucking emails. I just don't answer. They're like, oh my God, hey, Jaleesa, did you happen to see my email? No, I didn't have an opportunity to take a look at it. Let me go see. And then they give them the chance to be like, while I have you here, yeah, go ahead. Because in that email, you was talking greasy. So let me see what type of energy you about to come with the information, because I will ignore it. I will. Y'all know why.
Hey,
I
that's
like her.
facts.
Yeah, you
I
done.
like her
I like
already.
I like her.
Be like, honestly though, she's not wrong.
No, for real.
Not wrong.
And I
Yeah.
will say we saw more of that passive aggressiveness when we were remote, because you'd be like, if we
Yo,
fight each other in the office, you wouldn't have that same energy.
Oh yeah, man. I do that though. The tone checking. I put it into like ChatGPT or Copilot or something that see, hey, can you check the tone of this? Make it, or if I get a message that I feel a way about, because I had to learn that I can't feel a way about certain things, because people of different cultures, they may say things a little bit more blunt or something like that. So I'll put what they say into like ChatGPT, and then I'll be like, oh, okay, they're just being more corrective as opposed to it being like, calling me stupid or something like that if something, goes wrong. Because I mean, sometimes you get some crazy messages. And then
Sure.
yeah,
You like, hey, who
especially
you-
if something goes wrong.
if somebody ain't gonna fake, you know something got you tight if you respond in the chat like, hey, who you talking to, fam?
yeah.
You hit them with that fam real quick.
Right.
Let's hop on a
Who's this
call.
message about?
Let's
Who's
hop
this
on a
message
call.
about?
Let's hop on a
Right.
call. Let's forget the email. Let's hop on a call. Let me hear you say
for real.
what you had. What were you saying?
That solves a lot of issues though.
Yeah. What?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because the tone of the message, I wasn't sure.
Okay, at your
Thanks for
earliest
clarifying.
convenience. At your earliest convenience. Type of email, man. Oh man.
Yeah, man, that's still be.
Somebody got you bent when you got to ask a friend, am I tripping?
Or you gotta say, what they meant? Did you think they trying to play me or something?
Exactly.
Yo.
Exactly.
I'm
Exactly.
Yeah.
literally that person, because I'll literally hit up my work bestie. I'm just like, who they think they talking to? Because who do they think they talking to? Because it's not me. It must be somebody else.
Look, don't let them send you an email like that when you about to be on your way out to a new job. Oh yeah, it's up.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. It's
What nigga do is fire me.
You don't mind burning that bridge.
The bridge is burnt. Okay.
When I left help desk, but I was doing all types of stuff you ain't supposed to do. I was hanging up on users and everything. What they gonna do?
Hanging up is crazy. Hanging up.
I had a user argue me down that her username was her password and username was flip flop. So she was trying to tell me her password was her username and vice versa. I said no, it's not. And she kept on arguing, so I just hung up. Somebody else.
All the same number, expecting somebody different.
Well, hey, you had so much confidence, but it's like, hey, you be feeling like Rochelle off of Everybody Hates Chris.
Yeah.
I got 2 jobs. When you finna quit?
Oh yeah.
I think this is the one, the black man in corporate one. Let me see.
Wow. I faced so many challenges. One, just being a black male in the corporate world.
Speak on that.
Because there are things that you cannot do, even though you see other people doing them.
Facts.
Because the accountability for you is different.
Yeah.
And that's something that I would teach us, as we would hire, minorities. I make sure that they understand the rules of the do's and don'ts. And I would tell them, like, look, you're an adult. I don't tell you what to do because I don't want anyone telling me what to do. I'm just going to say that if this happens, here's the position you're going to put yourself in, and you're going to leave me no other alternative but to take this action over here. Wow.
No, that's facts though. I know, like, I be noticing little things where, like, when I mess up, it's amplified where other people be messing up much more ways, or lackadaisical or low level effort, and nobody say nothing to them. You be knowing all type of stuff. Be like, okay, I peep it.
Yeah.
That's I'm peeping it. I ain't got nothing else to say because I already know how the game go.
I had to pick the TikToks for the culture today. Period. Had to highlight some struggles that we'd be going through. It is very difficult for sure. I
Yeah.
can't speak on the man experience. That's why I'm being
A
quiet.
lot of men like to talk about what Prince did back in the day.
Y'all keep talking. That was just auto playing when I went.
Yeah, I was about to say, man. I mean, just being the only one in like your whole team or your whole like, you know, cross-functional teams could be kind of difficult, especially like if you do mess up or you may be new to a team. It's an echo. I don't know if it's me or okay. Yeah, so like I've had it to where like a team member, not my manager, but my team member had put like screenshots of like certain like what I had said and cut out like my response to what they said. So like the screenshot was edited, and then they put it in the group chat with my boss and my boss's boss and me and the whole team. Oh, you did this wrong. You need to do this. You said that you finished this, but it was like they made a different change. And I was thinking like, dang, you had to put it with everybody in the chat. You couldn't just send it to me directly. So like amplified something, and it was like it's really small. Like I had made a change, and I told them I made the change in GitHub, and then the team that was doing the pull request made a change after I made that message. So I'm sitting here like, well, they, you know, something else happened that changed the context of what I said, but they were trying to make it more of a big deal. So like you run into like issues like that in the corporate environment. You have to be able to stand up for yourself.
Oh,
yeah.
Let me get this one last one because I felt this is one I actually wanted to make a stitch on TikTok about, and I never did. And I feel like we all can get off our pretty much think pieces right here, and this will probably like be something we close it out with. Let me add this back on the stage.
I got another topic for discussion here. Now, is the Black community shying away from professionalism? Now, let me give you some context. So I'm 24. I was born and raised in Atlanta, Georgia. And a large percentage of people that I know in my age bracket shy away from things like button-down shirts, tucked-in shirts, belts, proper grooming. We've created our own vernacular. It seems like my community is leaning more towards being trendy. And I feel like that can only get us far internally. Professionalism, in my opinion, is to connect to all demographics. In order to communicate on a high level and be respected on a high level, we need to improve our professionalism.
I agree with him.
I do believe we are shying away from
It done
professionalism.
got real lax around the
least.
city.
I'm seeing less people put on Sunday best. I'm seeing more common use of slang in all settings. I see a lack in presentable attire. Don't get mad at me, but I do have a friend that doesn't even own an ironing board. We're starting our days later, and the question is this translating into other aspects of our life, not just our work life? I think our professionalism is an indication of a lack of self-respect in our community. Instead of promoting professionalism, we promote things like hip-hop music culture, drugs, and violence. I often struggle with using slang and other things I mentioned because it's so prevalent in our community.
I still agree.
He was
I
spitting.
agree. He was chewing. He
Yeah.
was eating.
Yeah.
Pretty wild for a 24-year-old. He YN age.
That's the problem right there.
Somebody said, I get it, Pico. I do.
I don't even know what else to say other than I do agree.
I'm kind of half and half, honestly. Like there's points to be made, but I also feel like, and this is just the way I see it, what defines professionalism for us exactly? That's the question that I have, because at the end of the day, I get it. Like we have to kind of mold ourselves to be a bit more, like, how do I say it, to kind of fit into the status quo of corporate so that we can, have like decent conversations with each other and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, like with me growing up, it was always kind of concerned like dreadlocks were not professional. But yet at the end of the day, it's kind of becoming more apparent as we go along. So maybe we're moving the needle towards us being a bit more accepting of some of the things that we have, our culture, the way that we do things in the professional setting. So it's just like, where do we draw the line, right? Of, okay, what's professional for us and what's not, and what's acceptable for us and what's not. Because, to me, there's a race that has benefited from professionalism. I think they created it. Just throwing it out there. But anyways.
Yeah.
Well, if we predate to what they think they created it, we taught them. But that's a whole nother type of logic. But I would agree with you because you used to have notions that beards weren't professional. You notice if we go back in the day when we was younger, most everybody had either no facial hair or they had a mustache.
Everybody can't do that.
I would say professionalism less to what to do with grows out your head and more maybe about appearance as far as like putting yourself together. I don't really agree with like wearing your toes out. I feel like that's for the beach or the swimming pool. Or like, a woman has on like heels with her toes out. But I feel like what clothes you have on, I don't like, even if it's not a suit, but it's put together nicely and you got to iron it in like you just rolled out of bed, stuff like that. Your hair is brushed. If you got locks, you make sure they're taken care of. You got low cut, make sure your hair is brushed. You got an edge, or at least you got a fade and it ain't got no edge. You're going 90 style, like Wayne Brady is that. Like, I think it just depends on things like that if you're gonna say professionalism. And then I think it's a concept like, okay, like I did Urban Dictionary, and all it said was any business practice in which happiness is sacrificed for success. That's not professional. Sometimes like a person who tries way too hard to be taken seriously, that's a professional. But the other definition for professionalism was the competence or skill expected of a professional, the practicing of an activity, especially a sport, by professional rather than amateur players. So I would just say professionalism is like, I'm not expecting people to come in and be just like Kevin Samuels, right? If you got a polo, you can have jeans. It's a way to make jeans business casual with a certain type of fit to make it look like you ain't finna go to the club, right? Put some Sperry's on, or you put for me, I'm notorious. I'm gonna have the white Cole Huns on, so like I'm dressed down, but I'm still able to go do whatever I want to do. But I don't look childish that I'm wearing like some J's. Ain't nothing wrong with J's, but when you get to a certain age, you're going to work. You still want to like you came to work and like you're not going to a college class or high school, whatever. So I think it comes down to that. Now, granted, there are sneaker days. I don't want to say like you can't wear sneakers, right? I don't want to say that, but I'm saying like on a regular of like, we know, even though we say we don't care what people think, I think we do care about our perception of us, what people think about us in the workplace, because especially if you want to stay there and get promoted or something, what they think about you does matter.
I think it's a time and a place too. It's a time and a place. Like if you're going to go, if the company flew you out to go meet with the customer and you know that they're suit and tie, why are you showing up in jeans, right? I think it's a time and a place. I am a sneaker person. I'm gonna have a sneaker on every chance I get, but I know when to put that flat on, put that heel on. I know when to dress appropriately for the occasion. And I feel like that's the problem, is not knowing that there's a time and a place and when to pivot and switch it up. That's what I'm referencing when I'm talking about this.
You brought up, they wear suits and you got on jeans. That made me think about the dude's probably grown now, but the dude talking about the little boy got a message because he tried to mark with a ham sandwich. He's like, why you couldn't eat it cold? That's what I thought about. How many times you almost whooped and you cried?
Actually, it's funny that you said it. My senior VP now, he wears like J's with a suit on like all the time. I saw like he has like all the different colors and stuff. He always shows up with some Jordans on. And then another thing, what'd you say, HD?
What color is he? Okay.
Yeah, man. So But then another thing you said too is about like, you know, not having a beard and stuff. I'm like, your skin got to be on point.
That's what I
To
just yes.
your skin got to be
Everybody
on
can't do
point
that.
to have a to not have a beard or a mustache. I was like, boy, I hadn't got my chemical pill yet, man. I need to go ahead and fucking no, you know, no facial hair.
And don't get me started on the dirty white forces that they are wearing as business casual shoes, and I'm gonna just leave it at that.
I mean, if we're gonna be honest, we got more professionalism than most people. I work with people where like I'm seeing Buddy wear like the same shirt and pants combo every other day, and I'm like, Buddy can't be washing these joints, man. I'm sitting next to him. I'm getting whiff. That ain't professional. Hold on, what it say? This is Dre. Shout out to Dre. Appreciate super chat. I've been to several countries on business. There's always professional attire and behavior, no matter the country or culture. It's because black doesn't fly when you're in Africa. Guess why? Black. No, you're right though. I think just being along with the customs, just knowing not doing anything different. Now, when you run a place, you can do whatever you want to. Well, I mean, you consider to be professional. But like, you know, you can't be showing up on the Zoom interview with a wife beater on.
A do-rag.
Right.
People that smoked they vape through the whole interview. I'm not gonna.
Come on, son. That's a YN. That's a YN.
I'm gonna tell you the company name. Join the Patreon. I'll tell you the company name. That's what we do.
Crazy.
Join. So I'll tell you. The dude was cool, mad cool though, but he not like us. You know, I hate this.
You know, I had when I did an interview with Meta, the guy was just cursing of a story in the interview. I was like, I don't know, man. This doesn't seem right. He's a little too chill about this. I did not get the job, but that's a good indicator. When they just too chill, you may not be getting the job.
Mm-hmm. And listen, the dude that vaped on the interview vaped again with my client on their interview call. So I was like, that's just something for them. That's their thing. I should tell people that's going to interview with that specific company. I was like, yo, if you interview this dude, he mad cool. He going to be vaping through your interview.
Did you take the job there?
I didn't. My client did, but I didn't.
Okay.
That's wild.
That's wild.
Yeah. Damien, make sure you post your YouTube channel in the chat so they can go follow you. And I can make sure after this I put it in the description so people can go down in the description to follow you. And Before the Billions is Before the Billions. You know, he's trying to get back up to that rock star status. He was back in the pandemic times. He was on all these live panels. So he's trying to get back to live panels that make a little bit more sense for the brand.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, and also make sure y'all follow Cybersecurity. She's dropping daily tech and security facts, and she's been dropping videos on her YouTube. You know what I'm saying? And
Trying to do a little sign.
And shout out to Bearded Ruckus for joining us today. He definitely gave us some good insight. I didn't know you was in New York, man. So shout out to you.
Oh no, I'm not in New York. I was born in New York, but raised here in Miami.
Oh, okay. In Miami, do the Dominicans wear the chin straps?
No.
But look, man, I do not want to keep y'all up, brother. I appreciate everybody that's been rocking with us. I do got some major, like join the Discord. I do got some stuff that I'm gonna be announcing there soon. And of course, hopefully, what Trump came in here did and throw like a fork into the plans of some stuff that I'm trying to do. But y'all definitely just stay tuned because I got y'all. So hang on, let me read this, then we'll get out of here. They wear professional attire, for instance, in Dubai, certain turbans and robes signify business. So it isn't a Western white suit tie issue. It's that society seems professional. That's right. Yeah, certain places you'll want to wear what their customs are versus what you deem from where you from. So I get that. And that's probably why people be showing up in, V-necks and stuff, like not a V-neck with a suit, but like just a V-neck, you know what I'm saying, at certain places. And they don't know how to dress it down. But yeah, man, I appreciate everybody. It's late. Y'all catch the replay. Y'all share this out for me. And like I said, my goal is try to go live once a week. So whether it's like this or I just cover some articles or something like that, that's what we're going to do. But yeah, until next time, we out. Peace. All right, let's end this. Yeah, I figured out the